Well, first of all, I have to express publicly my admiration for Sucheta Dalal, because she took on the NSE and won the case. I did encourage her at one stage that she should fight, but she got a lot of money and I got nothing. But this is what we need in our country, fighters. It's not always easy, but in the end, the law of karma does deliver. I have not known anybody who is not benefited by fighting, even though in the short run you lose. Professor Vaidyanathan mentioned that if I had stayed in economics, I would have qualified for the Nobel laureate, to be a Nobel laureate. My teacher and then later co-author Paul Samuelson had predicted 5 students would get Nobel Prize over the next 10 years. And I was one of them. But 4 got it and I did not, because I made a decision I'll go back to India and teach economics there and do the research there, because I found India more convenient. America, you have to do your own laundry, you have to drive your own car, you have to clean your own bathrooms. And my quality of life in India was much higher, so I came. But the communists wouldn't allow me to teach here, because they felt I was polluting the minds of the students. And so first I was called by Mr. Amartya Sen in writing, saying your Gaddi is being dusted. When I turned up in India, the Congress had split, the communists became partners of the Congress. They began capturing universities, and he told me, I'm sorry, your views are not acceptable. The letter meant nothing for him. Of course, he didn't stay very long, he went off, leaving the country. Then I came to IIT, and I became full professor. And for 3 years I taught. But the students all insisted on knowing about Indian history, Indian nuclear bomb, all the things. So I went to the dining room, and then after that, the students assembled, I addressed them. And one day Mrs. Gandhi picked up my book and said, what kind of people today are in teaching in IIT? And then she read out my book, that you can grow at 10% growth rate, you can produce the atom bomb, you can reject foreign aid from foreign governments. And she said, this is the kind of thing that's being taught. I said, the socialism actually lowers growth rate, market will raise the growth rate. And she said, I can't understand how the IITs made him a professor. Well, next day at 5:15 I got a letter saying that effectively from 5 o'clock you're no more professor. I went to the director, I said, I'm a full professor, and this it comes with a, if you want to remove me, you'll have to go through some inquiry. He said, no, I got orders from the top, you fight it in court, which is what I did. But it took me 22 years to win the case. And by the time I had become a cabinet minister, and so the day I got the court order, said this dismissal order is totally illegal, so it never existed. And so I should be treated as if I have continued in service for the last 22 years. So in IIT, I have been a teacher of IIT for 25 years, according to the... And all my salaries have to be given back. Now, I become cabinet minister, I didn't need the IIT, but anyway I took charge as professor for 1 day, resigned the next day and said, give me back my back salary. They said, give us an account of how much you owed. I gave them, plus I put an 18% interest on it. It's much more than I would have got as Provident Fund at the end of my retirement. I'm telling you this because fighting in the end brings rewards, but you can't expect to fight only for rewards. That's what Gita said. Of course, the IIT is still fighting, that 18% we can't give. So I said, no, let's continue the fight. So the longer it takes, the bigger the amount will be ultimately, because I'm going to win that case anyway. In the meantime, I became a parliament member. I was, the Janata Party came to power. Morarji Desai told me, I'm appointing you on the board of governors of IIT Delhi. So I said, the very body which dismissed me, how will I face all those people who participated in my dismissal? So he said, no, don't worry, I've taken care of them, I've dismissed all of them. So I got my sweet revenge. And I'll get a lot of money in the end when I win the court case. And it all worked out very well, but nobody could have predicted, because most people who came from America went back to America. And I didn't want to do that. So I had to choose between Nobel Prize and I had to choose between the country, and I preferred the country to the possible. Now we have to make this country a great country. And one of the biggest disease we have, which is affecting in many dimensions our country, is a major national security threat. It's not just some people being illegal and getting money. It's really corroding the country. One of the reasons I've taken up this Sunanda case is because it came out of black money. She was going to expose how the IPL was a money laundering unit in which her husband participated. And she was killed by on a supari. A lot of people are involved. And yesterday, you might have read today's papers, that judge, he won't even let me speak, because we are in the final stages. And the previous judge, who had heard me for 6 times, had finally told Delhi police, next year you will tell us, are you going to charge sheet the accused, or you're going to close the case. That's all we are going to consider next time. And what would have happened? I don't know how mysteriously that judge was transferred to another bench, and came a bench, a judge, about whom I will not say anything publicly now. But after some more research, I shall call a press conference and say why he was so harsh to me. But it was totally unfair because he wouldn't let me speak. He asked me for facts. I said, but we have only come to discuss whether the Delhi police is going to close the case or charge sheet the people. He said, no, I want to know why you said this, all irresponsible, so on. Why don't you mention that you are a member of the BJP? I said, the whole world knows I am BJP. I mentioned I am a member of parliament, because those are official positions. Party position is nothing to be mentioned in it. But the whole idea was that I was unraveling this IPL black money thing. And somehow the Sunanda case must not move forward. And of course it will move forward. And I never give up. And so therefore, I'm giving you an illustration. The protection of the facilitation for black money has gone so deep that it is something which needs almost a total obsessive focus of the country. You don't know what all you have been going through. Potholes on the road are because of corruption only, nothing else. It is not that we can't build roads, we are building all over the world. We built such lovely roads in Malaysia, in Nigeria, in Iraq. Even you can't build a road here. Even here in some parts we are building very good roads. National highways in parts are superb. So therefore this corruption is giving you a substandard product. Corruption is giving you adulterated masala, adulterated food. It is ruining your health. What's put in the oil, what's put in the milk, it's all adulteration. It's because the desire to make quick money. And therefore, somebody else has to be paid, so they have to recover that. It's the whole chain. So what is good about Professor Vaidyanathan's book is, I've listed 4 important merits of the book. He and I rarely agree on anything. The reason being, both are Tamil Brahmins, we never agree on anything. I mean, we are Brahmins because we are in the field of education and we have no money. That is the qualification of a Brahmin. Tyagi and Jnani. Not today somebody who is working as a direct, not somebody who is today working in Bata Shoe Company and says, I was born as a Brahmin. See, that was a division of labor. And if you are a Tyagi and a Jnani, you become a Brahmin. Vishwamitra was born in a Kshatriya family, and he became a Maharishi because he became a Tyagi and a Jnani. Anyway, so first merit of this book is that surprisingly, this gentleman, whom I hold in high regard, he's not only a full professor, but he should have been our economic advisor. And the only reason I was given why he can't be made economic advisor is that he's too blunt. Well, that's what we want. But today all advisors are rubber stamps. And if the Prime Minister says, can I do demonetization? They won't tell him, we are not ready on this, we are not ready on that. Let's take a little more time. Or GST, no, you can't rush through with it because you haven't got the computer program yet. The GST is not ready. The advisors do not tell him. And then they say, no, everything is fine, we are ready. And then you see what the results are. So we wanted a person like him. And I'm sure that he will come very soon. Things are going. And somebody told me that he was a very witty teacher and a great tennis player. I didn't know you played tennis. But that's what somebody told me. But then I said, you got it wrong. He was a great teacher and a witty tennis player. So, first good thing about his book is that there's clear definitions. What is corruption? What is bribery? What's the difference? You see page 14. You see definition is clear. Second merit of this book is he's got excellent reference materials at the end. All websites he has put down. So if you want to really read the book and then do the research, this book is ideal for that. The third thing is it's less than 175 pages, which means you can read it in one sitting. And I'm addressing those who want to read the book. But it's very easy reading. Printing is super. The spacing is excellent. So it's very easy to read. I read it on this flight from Delhi to Bombay. It just took me 2 hours. Of course, I already knew the material because you've discussed it so many times. And finally, I find that he has only priced it at 350 rupees, which is quite low by today's standards. And therefore, in all these 4, it's eminently viable, and I certainly strongly recommend it. He has answered some key questions. What he avoided in the speech, I am now going to bring out from the book. How much black money? That's your question. Well, he has made out one distinction which needs to be made out all the time. There is no such thing as black money per se. There is a flow of black money and there is a stock of black money. And black money can become white and become black again. Supposing I got black money in my pocket, I go in a taxi and I pay the taxi driver. It's black money with me, but once he gets it, he has earned it. And it becomes white money. And he can even report it. There will be no difficulty for him to report it. So, the black money, there is a flow and there is a stock. The stock is in your house, under your pillow, or something like that, or abroad somewhere. That's the thing. So how much is the flow? According to him, 15 to 30 lakhs per year, correct? I don't know why you didn't say it. What were you? A little shy that it's too low a figure or something? And then he says the stock is 65 lakh crores. Well, some people say it's a little more, but anyway. Now, but he has not given what is the share of Sonia Gandhi and Chidambaram. How did this black money menace come to this country? People say elections, elections. No, no, not elections. That was much later. The first big monumental mistake we made was to introduce the Soviet economic model. And that required quotas and licenses. And the quotas and licenses were administratively priced. As a result, if you got a quota to import something or export something, or you got some quota for scarce material like cement or something, you could go to the black market and sell it to somebody who wants it badly. So soon a bunch of touts came into the picture. They had access to the minister because they gave the minister also some money. And they ensured the license is given to a particular party. So the party which wanted a license did not apply straight, did not go and apply and then wait for his being called. But they contacted these touts. The touts then, for a cut, went and were able to persuade the minister to give the license and the quota. Or they went into this black market and sold it to the highest bidder. That's how the whole thing started. And when Narasimha Rao abolished quotas and licenses in one blow, what happened? All the people who were touts had joined the Congress party because it became easier to get it from the minister. They all turned against him. If you look at the economic record of Narasimha Rao, it is unparalleled. The growth rate was 3.5% per year, which the communists used to unfairly call as Hindu rate of growth. It is actually communist rate of growth. It was the same growth rate in Soviet Union, the same growth rate in East Germany, it's the same growth rate in North Korea. Wherever there was communism, it was only 3%, 4% growth rate. So this 3.5% growth rate, in 5 years, he converted by year to a final of 8% growth rate. It was the economic miracle of that period. Now, the biographies of Narasimha Rao say that the blueprints were prepared by me in the Chandrasekhar government, and Narasimha Rao took it and implemented it, and the credit went to Manmohan Singh. Now, Manmohan Singh, as 5 years finance minister, did so much economic reform, but in 10 years as prime minister, he did nothing. How is that possible? The credit belongs to Narasimha Rao, and I told the Prime Minister the man deserves a Bharat Ratna at the next Republic. Manmohan Singh's only contribution I know as a Prime Minister is he did not resign during the 10 years of the UPA. Because had he resigned, you know who would have been the Prime Minister? The Yuva Prince today, whom I popularly refer to as the Buddha. So by not resigning, we were saved that. But the fact is, Narasimha Rao lost the election. Why? Because these touts immediately lost their black money, whereas the beneficiaries were told it will all filter down. And these people then did their propaganda, this is all for industrialists, rich people, so on. And in the election, the Congress party was became half in its strength, in its parliamentary strength. And Narasimha Rao lost the election. Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee committed the same mistake, of a different kind. But the form of the mistake was the same. He concentrated on what he called as growth, and he called India shining. He even advanced the elections by 6 months, because he listened to these people in Delhi who are now called Lutyens. The most dangerous people. They will spin mythology after mythology. You have been hands down, you sweep, your strength will go, you'll get absolute majority. But in the case of the BJP, the worker who is motivated not by all these economic performances, it's fine. But it is the worker felt that the reason that they had given up and become Swayamsevaks was for another cause, the cause of Hindutva. And therefore, he did not work. And he lost, and BJP became half its strength. In 2014, certainly the personality of Modi is important. But the driving force is not only anti-corruption, but more importantly, the ability to make people rise above their caste and vote for us. Our vote went from 21%, the maximum ever, to 31%. And that 31% plus our allies, we came to 38 and we got absolute majority. Every time people predict that we are going to lose election, they suddenly find that we are winning the election. In UP, demonetization votes were at the maximum. And we got 75% of the seats. And we did not put up a single Muslim candidate, and people said, 125 seats now gone out of your hands. In those 125 seats, we won 85 seats in the UP Assembly. Of course, the reason was that 50% of the Muslim population, namely women, said there is only one party which will get us, save us from triple talaq, and that is BJP, so we'll vote for them. So earlier on, the Hindus used to be divided and the minorities were united. Now the opposite is happening. I predict to you that even Gujarat will win, despite all the anger of GST, everything. Because when the time to vote comes, this base of Hindu unity and those progressive elements of the minority, they will vote for us. And therefore, I'm saying that in this country, it's not money, it's not elections, whichever makes you win. Good economic performance is a necessary condition, but not a sufficient condition. Sufficient condition, you need some emotion. Bangladesh war will give Mrs. Gandhi a huge majority. In our case, it is this social transformation through Hindutva. Now I come back therefore to say that Soviet model went off, and then this sheer concentration on economic reforms, that is not going to produce electoral success. And in a democracy, you have to factor that in also, that you got to win elections to continue the thing. But after that, I found that there are certain new institutions that were set in place, which has made the problem of black money even more untractable. One is this Mauritius route. And the Mauritius route, according to Professor, is not due to the Congress, but due to the NDA of Atal Bihari Vajpayee and Mr. Yashwant Sinha. So next time he comes here to give a speech, please ask him. After reading his book, I'm not saying this, you are saying this. So use his book and say, this is what is said, is it true? It is a fact that Mauritius was given a special status, that anything of a Mauritius company will be exempt from taxes. For example, in BSE, anyone makes a capital gains, I think you charge 25% or something like that. What is the charge for capital gains in Bombay stocks? Sure. But if your company is registered in Mauritius, 0. Plus, this participatory notes was also introduced, which I have been fighting to abolish, quite a long way, but not enough. Where black money goes out, converts into through Hawala to bank deposits, and then the cash is put before the counters of Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs. They give you a participatory note. You come here, trade in the stock market, and no capital gains tax, and the money becomes white, and you take it back. So these are the ones which have made it profitable to earn on black money. The portion that you don't send abroad ends up distorting your investment priorities. You buy luxuries, you buy marble, you buy air conditioners, you go to 5-star hotels. All these get a higher rate of return, so future investment goes into it. Our investment directly, indirectly today, 70% allocated to luxury goods industry, not for the common man's industries. Whatever the common man needs gets only 30%. This is because the demand for black money is such that the luxury goods industries are prepared. Then there is another problem. You convert your black money through the Hawala route. That means Dubai. Dubai means Dawood. Dawood means without his patronage, no Hawala operator can operate in Dubai. That is why all these cinema stars go and pay obeisance to him. And then he gets all the data, which bank account, what number, everything, an amount, the identity of the person, and that is passed on to Pakistan. With this vital information, any country can blackmail you. And that blackmail process is going on. Now it's slowly coming out. We are not seeing it in Indian politicians yet. But what is this Moin Qureshi matter? They didn't prosecute it for such a long time. The CBI director himself was purchased by Moin Qureshi. Now we're prosecuting them. I will say one thing, if you don't mind my doing propaganda, for all that is said against BJP today, the Congress party has not been able to name a single minister of the central government who is corrupt or has filed a case against him. Some people say, why don't you file? I said, why should I file? I file against Congress, Congress should file against us. That's the way democracy works. Why should I file against my own people? First of all, you identify who is the one who's corrupt, then I can at least discuss with you. But they cannot understand. I have asked them, each congressman directly, name one corrupt BJP minister. They are not able to. This is the first time since 1947 when we don't have corrupt ministers in the central government. Nehru had Krishna Menon, Nehru had Rafi Ahmad Kidwai, Nehru had so many corrupt people. Indira Gandhi, starting with Indira Gandhi, the corruption had started. So this is a new development. And that's why certain things are happening which never happened before. The Moin Qureshi's examples there. Mr. Chidambaram is just outside the doors of Tihar jail. It's only today in the Supreme Court I had gone and asked for an early listing of the matter because the court is monitoring the... And his son, of course, has got 21 bank accounts abroad. A huge mansion jointly owned with Chidambaram in the city of Cambridge in England. Huge mansion. And God knows what all assets there.